receive the ball. Number 11 will be doing the kicking duties for the Western Reserve Raiders. That is Jermaine Richardson. He is, of course, the quarterback and younger brother of Roselle Richardson, now with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Be taken by Wesson at the 10. Cuts to the center of the field, has an opening, all the way out to the 35-yard line before he's brought down by a host of Reserve Raiders.
That's exactly what the Falcons needed there. Chuck Wesson got a good return there. We're all the way out to the 35. And I also noticed that this is going to be a hard-hitting ball game. Reserve came down the field. They were playing tough, and the Falcons now have to respond accordingly here on offense.
I think really the key to this ball game tonight will be, can the Falcons control the line of scrimmage, and in that control the football. Derek Fletcher, the quarterback, two backs in the backfield. Give is to Marakovich straight up the middle. He gets about 3 or 4. Short gain.
Well, already I think Dave Hartman's going to set the tempo of this ball game. He's going to try to keep the Falcons on the ground and establish those long drives that have been successful for us all year long. And right there was the beginning of that with Matt Marakovich right up the middle. So I think we'll try to maintain that all evening.
This is quite true. In a moment here, we'll try to get you the offensive starting lineup for the Falcons. We have a 2nd and 7 at the 38-yard line of our own 38-yard line. Connerth in motion. The give is to Wesson. He's got an opening and breaks free up to the 47-yard line. That'll be good for a first down.
Right there you might see the advantage of the Falcons' strength on the offensive line. We execute so well that right now it seems the Raiders may be outmatched by the offensive line and the speed of Chuck Wesson.
Let's get the starting lineups now. At quarterback for the Falcons, number 9, Derek Fletcher, a senior. The halfback is number 32, Chuck Wesson, and number 34, Al Connerth. Fullback 48, Marakovich. Connerth in motion. Gives to Marakovich. Breaks free, cross midfield, and down to the 46-yard line of reserve. The rest of the starting lineup for the Falcons: at tight end, number 80, Don Hauser, a senior. The tackles, number 72, Trent Mascola, and number 77, Ben Burton. The guards, number 63, Jeff Galino, and number 50, Jamie Fitzpatrick. The center, number 68, Tony Dorenzo, a junior. And alternating at split end, number 22, Rob Toffel, and number 10, Jeff Scott. They'll be bringing in the plays. Marakovich and Connerth in the backfield. Give is to Connerth. Around the left side, down to the 42. It looks like he has enough for the first down.
Once again, I have to repeat that the Falcons are setting the tone of the ball game. They're starting to control the line of scrimmage so well. This is the kind of drive they want them out. Now I have to come to my pet peeve all year long, and it wouldn't be a football game or a rebroadcast on Channel 19 if I didn't mention that the Falcons have been having trouble scoring when they get inside the 10-yard line and especially inside the 5-yard line. They were stopped last week by the Brook, West Virginia Bruins, and of course against Ursuline we were stopped 4 times with inside the 5, but we did come up with 3 field goals on the leg of Jeff Wilkins.
Fumble in the backfield. Fletcher downs it. They'll lose about 4 on that play.
Well, that's going to illustrate right now, Don, the fact that the Falcons can't make mental mistakes.
That's true.
That has plagued them all year long, starting from the Mooney game when they did make some mental mistakes. And then even last week, we had penalties all through the first half. Overall, we had 9 penalties for 85 yards. And when you have 85 yards in penalties, you can't really expect to do well.
Especially against a good team like this Reserve Raider team is. You give them those breaks, and they'll capitalize with points.
That's a key. When you're playing somebody good, you got to play flawless ball.
Give is to Wesson, and he doesn't have much running room at all. He'll be lucky if he got a yard on that. So the reserve defense has tightened up after the Falcon mistake.
Exactly. You know, that's interesting because last week against Brook, it was more than apparent that every time the Falcons had a good drive going, if they were to make a mistake, we had penalties, or we had a sack, or maybe a close to turnover like we had just there, that we always had our drive stopped. Now we're facing 3rd and long. Not a good position for the Falcons.
Definitely not. The Falcons are a ball control offense, and to get in these long 3rd down situations isn't going to be good for them tonight. Marakovich the lone back. Connerth comes in motion. Fletcher will roll, looking to throw. He'll run it. He's got an open field. Down to the 36-yard line, 37. He'll be well short of the first down, and we'll see right now whether Coach Dave Hartman feels that the Falcons are in 4-down territory.
Again, Derek Fletcher's running has been impressive all year, and right there he has done a good job. He's a tough runner. He put his head down and he went after the defender, but he just had too much ground to make up. Sometimes I think Derek's just going to have to start to throw the ball in these long situations.
So. I think on 3rd and 12, it's a little bit too long for him to get all that himself. He's going to need to find some receivers downfield. Falcons set the punt. It's a good kick. It'll be fielded by the Raiders' number 10, Alfie Birch, he's got an opening down the sidelines, finally knocked. It looked like he was knocked out of bounds down near the 20. But they're going to give him forward progress up near the 31-yard line, but it had looked like his foot touched out of bounds.
Luckily, the Falcons have some speed to match that Birch's speed there, because he is their big receiver, and he had the speed, and right there was a good return on his part. Finally, Campbell and Kokoski were able to bring him down.
Okay, now we'll get to see Jermaine Richardson. And the defensive lineup that's out on the field for the Falcons now. The nose is 59, Mike Conley. The tackle, 73, Rich Chalk, and 79, John Polish. Outside backers, 87, Starry, and 42, Mahakovich. The give is to 22. He has some running room up to the 35. That would be Tony Anderson. Finally brought down by a number of Falcons. Brought down by 42, Mahakovich. The rest of the Falcon defense at free safety, number 9, Derek Fletcher. The corner, 22, Rob Toffel. The halfback, number 1, Todd Opalik, who leads the SVC in interceptions. And the strong safety, number 29, Chuck Campbell.
Right now, the Raiders look pretty strong on offense under Jermaine Richardson, and he was their starting quarterback last year as the sophomore. Seems like he's a leader on the field, and he's ready to take the Raiders.
2nd and 3, and that's a first down. He's got open field, cross midfield. And it looks like 87 will finally get him, knock him out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Number 87, Matt Starry, brings him down.
Well, that was a nice hit by Matt Starry, but it was an after the fact because they picked up a lot of yardage there. That was about a 35-yard pickup. And already the Raiders are disproving my belief that they played weak opposition because they're not willing to concede this ball game, and they seems to be used to tough teams because they are opening it up against the Falcons.
They're just controlling the line of scrimmage. On both those plays, they had big holes open. 1st and 10 for the reserve Raiders at the 35-yard line of the Falcons. Single back. We have wideouts both sides. Jermaine Richardson, the quarterback. Rolls to the right. He'll look to throw. Under pressure. He's got plenty of running room. Brought down by 87 Starry. And a couple other Falcons down at the 23. But not before he has enough yardage for another first down. And we can already see that tempers are beginning to flare out there on the field. And neither of these schools like each other, and there's a lot of bad blood. We can remember back to the 1986 game that was shortened with 33 seconds left to go due to a fight on the field.
Well, the Falcons have to wake up on defense, but, you know, John Mahakovich had a chance to stop Richardson in the backfield. But the problem is, I was just going to mention that after that play was that the defense is having trouble in the trenches. The field conditions are really bad, and they're not getting their footing.
Give is to 22. He's down in the backfield by number 40, Jeff Powers at inside linebacker.
Right there, that was a good call by defensive coordinator Jack Kenny. Jeff had to be on a stunt there, and he came in and make the play. So right now the Falcons can do a good job here of stopping the Raiders because they have 2nd and long, and the Raiders haven't had to go from that position yet.
Loss of about 3 or 4 on that play, and that might be the big play that the Falcons need. At the beginning of a ball game, of course, there's a lot of nerves, a lot of things happening. Need to settle down and start playing defense. And the Falcons, of course, have been successful all year, and they know that they can stop this team. Single back, wideouts left and right. Richardson looks to throw over the middle. Wide open is 88. That would be, well, of course, there we've had our first fatality of the evening. We don't have an 88 on our reserve roster.
Good play there in the coverage, though, by number 80, Don Hauser. Did a good job as the inside linebacker for the Falcons. He is our leading tackler as well this year.
That'll bring up a 3rd and about 6. Big play here.
You know, Don, the clock's winding down. It's already to 5 minutes in the first quarter gone. So that shows you that both these teams want to keep it on the ground and keep moving as much as they can.
Pitch it outside. The Falcons have it strung out well, and they'll bring him down. Well short of the first down. He'll be lucky if he got to the line of scrimmage. Brought down by 40, Jeff Powers again, and number 29, Chuck Campbell.
That was a perfect play. Chuck Campbell came up from the strong safety, and he made the stop by doing his job. He came up, he took on the blocker. Jeff Powers came in, scraping from his linebacking position, and made the play. They did a nice tandem there on that stop.
So now the reserve Raiders are facing a 4th and 6, and the Falcon defense has stiffened.
Now, I don't know how many problems the Raiders have had this year in facing tough teams, but the Falcons have played tough teams from Mooney to Maslin to even last week against Brook. And they're used to these tough situations at 4th down, so I think they're ready to stop up the Raiders
Let's hope the Falcons will stiffen here. 2 backs, 22 goes in motion. Long count by Richardson. He'll drop straight back to throw. has a lot of time. Now he'll run for it. And I believe he's got the first down inside the 10-yard line. Brought down by 40, Jeff Powers again.
Also in there for the Falcons, you had number 80, Don Hauser again, and also number 79, John Polish. But that was a tough break for the Falcons. It's quite obvious that Richardson is not only a passer, but he's a runner.
That's true.
There's no doubt he is an integral part of their offense. And right now, I think his drive has been mostly Richardson.
The Falcons had good coverage in the secondary because Richardson had a lot of time in the backfield, and then he just had to tuck it down and run. But they have it first and goal at the 9.
I don't think our defensive line is used to a quarterback with so much speed.
I think that's the case right here.
They're going to do a good job of containing him.
Give around the right side. He's got some running room down to about the 6. Brought down by 9. That would be Derek Fletcher. And number 79, John Polish.
Well, the Falcons now are faced with a goal-line situation. They're going to have to bring in their extra down linemen, and they're going to have to try to stop the Raiders here. We're already down in 3 minutes in this first period, and the Raiders have controlled it. I thought the Falcons did a good job on offense first, but they let a mental mistake hurt them, and now the Raiders came around. They have the momentum.
Seems like all year, the Falcons, when they'd start driving, then a penalty or that would kill the drive. And that's what happened there. They were driving well, a penalty, or not a penalty, a fumble in the backfield, and the drive halted. But reserve has it second and goal at the 6. 2 backs in the backfield behind Richardson. He'll look to throw. Throws across the middle, and touchdown. Number 10, Alfie Birch. And the reserve Raiders are on the board, 6-0.
Well, the Falcons now are facing adversity. They've been scored on. The Raiders have proved their stuff out there so far this evening on that first offensive drive. And now the Falcons just have a tough ball game ahead of them.
We found out right away what kind of team we're facing here tonight.
You know, this is probably the best team the Raiders have had since their 1973 team, and they lost in the state playoffs, the Class AAA state playoffs, to Cardinal Mooney then, and that was their big year, 73. But this team is 7-0, and they are proving that they should be 7-0.
The kick is up, and it is good. So the reserve Raiders, with 2:45 left here in the first period, leading the Falcons 7-0. But I think what's going to happen now is the Falcons showed some toughness on defense down there. It was just a few big plays by the quarterback Richardson. And if they can contain him the rest of the ball game, I think they can stop this offense.
Well, you know, they scored on a pass completion, and that is what has been the Falcons' problem all year, is defending against the pass. We are last in the Steel Valley. We're giving up over 85 yards per game passing, while we're only giving up 80 yards per game rushing. Overall, Fitch is third in total defense in the Steel Valley, but the fact is that we're giving up too much passing, and it has been our weakness, and of course, with Jermaine Richardson, it is the Raiders' strong point.
Against a quarterback like Richardson, we gave him entirely too much time in the backfield to pass. On a couple of those plays, he had plenty of time to look over the entire field, check off on a couple receivers, and then he decided to take off and run. We need to get some pressure up there. The coverage was fine. We just need to get some pressure.
Once again, I'd like to remind everybody that this Channel 19 rebroadcast is sponsored by the Robert Senn Studio Photography and Kamara Jewelers, and we thank both of them for their support of Austintown Community Television.
Here's the kick. It's a low line driver. It'll come down to Wesson at the 10-yard line again. He's got a wall in front of him, and he'll bring it out to about the 29-yard line. That's where the Falcons will start. That reserve drive, by the way, was 69 yards on 9 plays.
And that's thanks to Bucky Diltz, our statistician today, and it's one of the advantages we have because usually we don't have a statistician, but we're all here in Warren, and we like to tell everybody that we're lucky we're here in Warren. We just barely made it here.
That's right. We were driving down the road, and all of a sudden Kevin said, go left, and we went left, and here we were.
That shows you how prepared we were. The Falcons, though, have to get excited out there right now on offense. They have to be able to regain momentum.
Falcons with a lot of switching here before the play. Fletcher finally gives the ball to Wesson, and he's going to be tackled right at about the line of scrimmage, 1 yard at most.
There it is, Don, the momentum factor. The Raiders are psyched. Their fans are excited, and their team is excited, and the Falcons look down. You know, we really haven't had a problem of being down, except against Massillon where we ever behind in the game, and hopefully our heroics against Massillon can be repeated all through the night tonight.
Let's hope so.
You know, and also, once again, about the second half scoring, we haven't done much second half scoring. And this is the first half. We haven't put points on the board now. We can't go against our tendencies and expect to get many points in the second half. We need them, but you got to watch those tendencies. They tell you a lot.
Fletcher will roll. He has plenty of running room up to the 40 and finally brought down at the 44 by 78 Lamont Murray, but a fine gain by Derek Fletcher.
You know, that was a 13-yard pickup, and right now we have the battle of the quarterbacks, Richardson versus Fletcher, and they're going to be pretty well dueling it out here tonight.
Let's just hope that it doesn't come down to that, because I really think that the Falcons right now need to take a long, sustained drive. There's only a minute 15 left in this first quarter. Drive down the field with a ball control offense, keep it on the ground, and score some points and regain some of the momentum that we lost. Connerth is in motion. The give is to the fullback Marakovich, and he finds a tough go of it. Gets about 3 up to the 47.
Right now, the Raiders have solidified. They had some weaknesses on that opening drive, but they've overcome that. Their defense has begun to read what the Falcons' offense is doing. Offensively, the Falcons are leading the Steel Valley in total offense. We're averaging over 269 yards per game, and coming from that is the leader of rushing. We have 208 yards per game rushing, and also we have 61 yards passing. Hopefully we won't have to rely on passing. We can keep those rushing statistics up this evening.
We have single back. Connerth is in motion. The give again is the fullback Marakovich, and he finds a little bit of a hole and fights down to about the 48-yard line of reserve, and that'll bring up about a 3rd and 2.
Here we go again, Don. Critical situation. The Falcons usually get in these third down situations, and sometimes we don't overcome them, and that's where mental mistakes start to hurt us.
This is an important play right here at the beginning of the game, because we see the clock winding down, and that'll be the end of the first quarter. Falcons won't get another playoff, and they won't have to move farther at the 48-yard line. I think right now, as we have a break between quarters, we should talk a little bit about the field conditions out there. We checked the field before the game, and it was quite wet, and right before we came on the air, it began to rain. The field in the center doesn't look to be in good shape, and I think that could hurt the Falcons a little bit here because of all the intricate cuts that need to be made by the backs.
We're certainly not used to weather conditions like this. We've played in pretty good weather all year, so this is going to be a surprise for the Falcons. Let's take a look now at the series between the Falcons and the Raiders while we have a timeout. Last year, we beat the Raiders 11-0 at Falcon Stadium, and we were victorious. And also, as Dave Hartman's years as coach, we have beat the Raiders 6 of the last 7 times. The only time we did lose to the Raiders under Dave Hartman was in 1985 by a ledger of 13-12, and I had the notoriety of being on the team when we lost to the Raiders, the only time under Coach Dave Hartman. And, of course, we had some trouble that year towards the end of the season.
We haven't seen a penalty yet in this game, which really surprises me in a game of this magnitude. There's a lot of nerves at the beginning of the game, and sometimes people have a tendency to jump off sides. But the Falcons now will begin the second quarter with a 3rd and 2 at the 48-yard line of Western Reserve. Number 10 is in motion. Fletcher keeps the ball. He's going to turn it upfield, and he'll have the yardage for the first down.
Well, the battle of the quarterbacks continues here. You know, to realize how fast that the first quarter went, there's 12 minutes on the game clock. That's game time. But the actual time that was elapsed in real time was only 15 minutes. So that's surprising. Usually you find 20-minute actual time quarters, and now we have just a 15-minute one, and that's just the fact that the Raiders mounted a nice 69-yard drive.
And it's time now for the Falcons to answer that. Again, we have 2 wingbacks. Marakovich is the lone setback behind Fletcher. Wesson comes in motion. Fletcher rolling, looking to throw. He's going to turn it up and run. He's got good yardage down to the 40, so that'll bring up us about a 2nd down and 4 or 5.
Well, Derek Fletcher isn't going to let Jermaine Richardson steal the show tonight, and it is the battle of the QBs. This is really getting surprising because they have touched the ball more than anyone else, and they have been the ball carriers, the throwers, and just about all offense for both teams.
It doesn't seem like Fletcher takes too much time to look down that field. He rolls out and tucks that ball under, and he decides to run very quickly. It'll bring up a 2nd down, and we'll call it 5. Connerth and Marakovich, the backs behind Fletcher. Wesson comes in motion. The give is to Marakovich. He finds an opening around the right side.
Good running there by Matt Marakovich, exactly what you want him to do. He hit a pile, he bounced off of it, and he dragged somebody all the way across the first down marker. So the Falcons have started the mounted drive, and when we get closer to the goal line, once again, we'll have to see if we can punch it in. We have to tonight. There's just no other way about it. The magnitude of this game is just incredible.
There's really no room for error against a team like this. Anytime you get the ball down inside their 20 or 10-yard line, you need to put some points on the board. Again, Marakovich is the lone setback. Wesson comes in motion. Fletcher will keep it, pitches it to Marakovich on that little option. No, that's Wesson, and he brings it down near the 22-yard line.
So Dave Hartman's going to use a little variety here tonight. He's using the option. I'm sure his coaches have scouted out reserve in their tendencies. Maybe he saw that as a weakness. First time we've run the option all year, and Derek Fletcher did a nice job of running the option. You know, he is an all-around athlete, and it's quite obvious his strength is running. He may not be the greatest passer. He does a good job, but he controls the offense. He leads it, and he's a good runner, and he made the good decision there. He pitched it to Weston, and Weston just took it for a big 8-yard pickup.
It really takes a good athlete to run that option play because you have to really wait until the last second before you get hit to pitch that ball out for it to be effective. And he did just that, pitching it out to Chuck Wesson. Chuck Wesson took it for about 9 yards. So the Falcons are in a good second down position, and this is the kind of positions they need to be in.
I'd like to remind everyone that since we are being underwritten by the Robertson Studio Photography and Kamar Jewelers, please patronize these area businesses. They support Cable 19 and these football rebroadcasts. So if you have photography needs, call Robertson Studio at 799-2015, and they'll set up a sensational Sen sitting for you. Also, visit any of the 3 Kamar Jewelers locations. They have one in Struthers, one on Boardman Pullen Road, and also the one right around the corner from Austintown in Cornersburg.
Okay, here we go. Second down and 1. Again, Connerth is in motion. Fletcher looks to throw, and he's going to be sacked in the backfield by 74. Bill Bell.
We lost 6 yards there, and that's it. That's the mental mistake, the breakdown. It always hurts the Falcons, and we have to be able to recover. We haven't done a very good job of recovering from them this year, but this is the one we have to recover from. And already you can tell the excitement of this game, Don. Almost the whole stadium is filled. We do have some bad weather, so rain may have kept away some, but I'm sure we have 8,000 to 9,000 here. And this is a fast-paced game. It's very exciting, and it's going to take the team with the most character to come through with a victory.
That's right. Big third down play here. Wesson is in motion. Give is to Marakovich, the fullback, and he'll have the yardage for the first down to the 17-yard line. And that was an excellent play. We seem to be getting a lot of yardage out of that fullback. Marakovich just a really tough runner and refuses to be brought down.
Matt was the leading rusher last week with 95 yards against Brook, West Virginia, and this is exactly what I expected from Coach Hartman. We don't have the cutting ability on this turf to run our normal outside tailback plays, so we're going to Marakovich up the middle and relying on his running strength, and Matt's doing a good job of getting us near the goal line.
First and 10 for the Falcons at the 17-yard line. Wesson in motion. Give on that counter to Al Connerth. He saw daylight for a while, but was then finally brought down after a gain of 2.
That was an excellent play call. We've been pounding the middle with the fullback, and we just did it on 2 successive plays, so they're going to have a tendency to follow Matt, and right there, Al Connerth slipped right around the outside, and he's got a good yardage there, about 4, but that's good enough for the Falcons. Also, Derek Fletcher did a nice job on the handoff. He did a nice fake. He held the ball in tight, and then he had it to Connerth. So if we can mix it up, and we can do well, that's what we usually do, Don. We usually hit them with different plays, keep the ball in all kind of hands of all of our players, and then keep the offensive drive going.
Number 22 in motion. Fletcher will roll to the right, looks to throw, throws it, pass incomplete. It looked like he might have been out of bounds even had he held on to that ball. The receiver, number 22, that is Rob Tofill.
You know, Don, I was just saying how Derek Fletcher should throw the ball some more, but that was not the play to do it on.
No.
The Rob Tofill, number 22, was covered very well by the Raider defensive back, and Derek probably should have went for the run there. He probably broke for the open field.
Every time I see those passes out in the flat like that, I just have visions of a defensive back coming up and picking that off and taking it the distance.
Ask Dave Phillips that, because remembering that 85 season again, though we did beat Massillon, he had a pass on that similar flat play returned over 85 yards for a touchdown. So Falcons want to avoid that.
Marakovich, the single back. Fletcher rolls out again. Has some pressure. Looks to throw. Intercepted. It goes through the hands of number 32, Wesson. And number 10 might go the distance here. No one will catch him. Marakovich, the last man. Number 10, Alfie Birch, who scored on the touchdown before, returns it about 85 yards for the touchdown for Warren Western Reserve, and quickly they're up 13-0.
I'm sorry, folks. I just had to recall 85, and it was 85 yards then, and now it's right now. I should have knocked on wood after I said it, but, you know, Derek Fletcher, I was just going to say he was doing such a nice job. He set back, he looked for the open receiver. Weston was open, but it was too high for him, and God, Birch was in good position there, and he returned it 85 yards. The Falcons couldn't ask for a worse situation. They'll be probably down by 14 points, and their second half is not their strong point.
We need to just tighten up here, and this could be a big play. If the Falcons could go ahead and stop them here, this could be a big play. So the defense needs to tighten up, and remember, there's a lot of time left in this game. Reserve will take a timeout now. And I really can't remember the last time I've seen a Fitch team go down 13-0 so quickly.
Probably 1985. No, we weren't that bad in 1985. 7:45 remaining. The Falcons do have a chance to get the ball back here, get good field position again, and probably mount a drive, but they have to put it in before halftime. There's just no question about it. In a game of this size, you can't go into the locker room with a 14-point deficit. It's just too devastating.
And, you know, we have been able to move the ball. Up till that play, we'd moved the ball successfully on them, and it's just these small little mental errors. Pass too high, it goes through the hands of the receiver, Wesson, and intercepted. And, of course, the number 10 for reserve, Alfie Birch, right there to pick it off. And it looked like he was going to be down, but with this reserve really has impressed me with their speed so far.
Of all the players who you would probably one of the intercepted, it wasn't Birch. He had the speed. That's the last player you could have thought of who you really wanted to have it intercepted here by the Falcons. From the Falcons.
Kick is good, and reserve goes up 14-0 here with 7:45 left in the second quarter. But now is not the time for the Falcons to hold their heads down, because this ball game is far from over.
Big plays are make and break plays in the ball game, and the Falcons have to have big plays of their own. And momentum now, the momentum factor is just something you have to consider. We seem to regain our momentum after the first score on our long drive, but an 85-yard interception return can really break a team. And hopefully the Falcons will be able to maintain their mental strength here and able to recover. And once again, you have to look at the fact that character is going to be the key here. Both teams have offensive and defensive strengths, and then whoever really wants it the most is going to win this game.
But now's the time for the Falcons to show off some of their speed that they have at the skill position. Number 32, Chuck Wesson, back deep to return this kick. And he's had some openings on some kickoffs tonight, so let's hope that he can break one here long and get right back into this ball game.
That's it. We need that big play. You can't reiterate that enough. We just need a big play.
The run-up and the kick. It'll go take Wesson into the end zone. Goes out of the end zone, and right there, that's another momentum builder for reserve.
Exactly. I was just going to say, we've had good field position on the last two returns, and now the time we really needed it, we got to start on the 20-yard line our own, and that means we have 80 yards to go. 7:45, still enough time, but the Falcons probably may have to open up the airways a little. Maybe get a quick score here. I don't know. You know, it is early in the ball game, and I don't want to sound too pessimistic, but 14 points against a team like Reserve would be tough.
Let's look at some of the scores. Reserve's defense this year has been very tough. As I scan down the sheet, it looks like they've only given up a total of 21 points through 7 ball games. So, of course, the Falcons are going to have a rough go against this defense.
Well, you know, I was wondering about Reserve in the AP coaches poll, the Associated Press. They're ranked 4th, and the Falcons are ranked 9th. And I was thinking, you know, looking at Reserve's opposition, that maybe it shouldn't have been that way. But Reserve is a tough team. There's just no doubting it now. They've proven themselves to me, and I'm sure they've proven a lot to the Falcons.
They certainly have. But that interception, again, that goes back to the mental errors. And I don't want to keep harping on that tonight, but those are the things that have to be avoided in a ball game like this. Against a good team, you have to be perfect on every play. You can't afford to do that. You know, there's an old saying that I heard John Rourke say one day, and the Falcons held that ball for quite a long time. It was a large number of plays. And they had the ball for about 7 minutes of this on that drive. 12 plays, I'm told. And any time you hold the ball for that long and you execute that well, an error is bound to happen.
Excellent point, Don. You're right. And, you know, the Falcons have been able to overcome their mental mistakes in other games. Maybe, like against Ursuline was playing lackluster, and we were able to get 9 points, and that was enough for the victory. And Brook was pretty well outmatched, and we just wore him down last week. So our mental mistakes really weren't that bad. The only time they really hurt was against Mooney, and that was the other big team we've played so far. So you got to say, you got to play perfect ball.
Right. You do. These teams are just too tough. Wesson will come in motion. The give is the fullback, Marakovich. He has some running room. brought down at about the 24-yard line. So he'll gain about 4 or 5.
The middle of the Falcons' offensive line, Galino, Fitzpatrick, Mascola, and Burton, and also Dorenzo, they've been doing a good job. They're moving the Raiders off the ball, but like I said, we made that mistake. We had a score. We were looking at a score in that last drive, and hopefully they can keep going. Right now, they showed that they're not daunted, the middle of our offensive line, because they're still exploding off the ball. So the rest of our offense should be doing the same, and we can make a nice, substantial drive here.
Connerth in motion. The give is to Wesson on that little counter, and he's got some running room up to the 30. It's going to be close, and I think he's got the first down.
Once again, we opened up a nice hole. That was a good job by the offensive line. Now we just have to maintain it. There's no way we can avoid, you know, we have breaking down. We gotta avoid breaking down, and
exactly.
You can't. We're just stressing it all night,
but
and that's about all we had to say. But it is the case. There's no other way around it here for the Falcons. Once again, we'd like to thank Kamar Jewelers and the Robertson Studio Photography for underwriting our Channel 19 rebroadcast. Also, if you have any comments, please send them to Channel 19 at Austintown Fitch High School, and we are welcome to all of your comments and also any donations because we are public sponsored and we can use the money.
Hauser will switch sides. Marakovich the lone back. We have 2 wing backs. Connerth comes in motion once again. The give is to Marakovich. Plenty of running room up to midfield. He breaks free and finally brought down in the secondary right at the 49-yard line, and that might have been one of the big plays that we need to get back into this ball game.
Matt Marakovich is alive tonight. You know, I thought maybe he should have cut back to the inside when he cut to the outside there. I thought, damn, Matt, you should have cut into the inside, but he proved me wrong because his running overcame at least 2 or 3 tacklers, and now we're already near midfield again.
And, of course, it's drives like this that separate winning teams from losing teams. You need to be able to come back after a stunning interception return like that for a touchdown and take the ball down the field and show these Raiders that we're not giving up in this ball game. Connerth in motion once again. The give is to Wesson, and he finds a little bit of running room down near the 47-yard line.
Another good ball control drive here. We're keeping it on the ground like Dave Hartman likes to, and we're also starting to mix it up to the people who carry the ball, and that's exactly what we want. So we have our offensive footing. We just got to keep it going.
One thing that the Falcons certainly have proven, and they're doing successfully tonight, is keeping that ball moving and keeping that offense on the field. Of course, the one time that Jermaine Richardson was on the field, they scored, but that has to be a plus going into halftime for Coach Dave Hartman, is the fact that the Falcons have been able to control the line of scrimmage and control the time of possession in this ball game. Fletcher will roll to the right, looks to throw, has a little bit of pressure, and he's going to be brought down right at the 45 after about a gain of 2. Bringing him down was 36, Cedric Anderson.
Fortunately, that wasn't a loss for the Falcons because that was the mistake that might have hurt us. We're still back at the line of scrimmage. We have 3rd and about 5, so that isn't bad. We'll probably have to see Derek Fletcher on a rollout, but tonight he is hot, and there's no stopping Derek Fletcher. This is still the battle of the QBs. You know, speaking of interceptions, Derek did have that one, but I think that was his first of the year, if I am correct. And also, Jermaine Richardson doesn't have any interceptions on the year. So we have 2 great quarterbacks out here tonight for high school football. And unfortunately, Derek's first interception couldn't have been worse.
No, couldn't have come at a worse time. Fletcher will roll again to the same side. He looks like he's got room and drives down near the first down marker. I believe he's got it. The Falcon fans want a late hit on that, and I'm not so sure. I don't agree with them.
Now, it's going to be where they mark it, but I think he has it, so a good second effort there on the part of Derek Fletcher, and he has enough for the first down. So the Falcons are really doing a good job. Once again, you got to note the play of the offensive line. Look at them down there. They're covered with mud. Once again, that's Mascola, Burton, Galino, and Fitzpatrick, also some Margin Dorenzo in there, and they're doing a heck of a job.
They really are. It reminds me of something John Madden would like, this kind of football game out in the mud. The rain, the cold.
I can imagine John Madden actually playing in a game like this.
Marakovich gets the ball. He'll be down to about the 38-yard line. Gain of 2 or 3. I can't imagine John Madden fitting in this little box.
Yeah, certainly our accommodations aren't too supreme up here. We like to thank, you know, the Warren officials for allowing us to cover this game, but they have an aging stadium, and we are, myself, Don, and Bucky, cramped in here, and of course, the floorboards beneath us squeak a lot, and there is nothing beneath us but empty space.
But at least we have a roof over our heads, I guess we can say. Wesson comes in motion. The give will be to Conner, second man through, and he'll break down to the 35. And again, it'll bring up a third and about 4 or 5 for the Falcons.
Now, this will be a tough play for us. When we get close to the goal line, all defenses are going to tighten up, and we have a tendency to occasionally break down. Right now, we have just over 3 minutes left, so we're going to have to start thinking about looking at the clock as well. We need the score. We have to go for it here. We need a touchdown. A field goal, I don't think, would be mentally enough for the Falcons.
I think we really need a touchdown because the way the field conditions are out there, and I can tell that the wind seems to be blowing across the field and against the direction where Jeff Wilkins would kick it. Hauser switches sides, wing back to the right, double backfield. Give is to Wesson around the right side, has plenty of running room, and down to the 28-yard line and a first down. And again, the offensive line on that right side, Mascola, Galino, Dorenzo, just blew the reserve Raiders off the ball.
You can't give too many accolades to that line tonight. They have not stopped producing. They're exploding off that line of scrimmage, and they are moving the Raiders. Also, now that, we're getting the ball to a lot of different offensive players, the Raider defense can't key as much on our plays, and now they're starting to have to cover their field and play their positions and execute them well, and already they are showing the tendency not to execute them well.
1st and 10 at the 28. Fletcher will roll again to this right side, has time, throws across the middle, and completes it there. That would be number 32, Chuck Wesson, down to the 19-yard line. He'll be short of the first down, and that'll bring up a second and very short. 2 minutes and 6 seconds left here in the first half.
I really would have liked to seen Chuck Wesson stay on his feet. He had some open room, and if he would have got a good plan, he might have made a good move and into the end zone.
Reserve calling timeout there. And I think that a key statistic that Bucky just brought up to me now that really has set the tone for the way the Falcon offense has been playing is that they are 4 for 5 on third down conversions. And he tells me that the only one that they didn't make was that interception, which turned out to be really costly. But again, you have to look at, we've had a couple of 3rd and longs, and Coach Dave Hartman has to be pleased with the way the offense has performed on those plays.
One of our trademarks throughout the season has been when we didn't make mental mistakes on 3rd and longs or just third downs in general, we were able to complete them. It was incredible against Massillon. We must have ran 10 or 12 plays on every drive because we were faced with third down situations all the time, and we were able to overcome that. We overcame a 12-point deficit against Massillon, and I think we have the ability to overcome this 14.1.
I think that the key is here we look at the clock now with 2 minutes and 5 seconds left to go here in the first half, and we've only seen that reserve offense once. They've only had the ball for one drive. And if this continues like this in the second half and the Falcons can, again, avoid those mental mistakes, I think that we're going to be in shape to win this ball game.
Speaking along those lines, statistically, we had the best game we probably had all year against Ursuline. We just had momentous drives, and we drove all the way down, but we didn't produce points. And right now, that seems to be the situation. We control the game statistically, but not on the scoreboard.
Fletcher rolls. He's got room to run. Down to the 15, and he'll have the first down. 1st and 10 for the Falcons at the 15. 1 minute, 58 seconds left to go as the clock stops for them to move the chains. They're quite slow in moving the chains here, which is to the advantage of the Falcons. And Coach Dave Hartman quickly getting those plays in. We have plenty of time here to score, and of course we can get a first down near the 5.
Exactly what I was going to say. We usually have 1st and goal on the 10, so that we can get a first down on the 5-yard line is a big advantage for the Falcons.
Marakovich the lone backs. Connor Wesson comes in motion. Again, Fletcher will roll. Rolls, throws to Connor. He's got it at about the 11, knocked out of bounds. That'll stop the clock. Short gain, but of course it stops the clock with 1:36 to go.
So we're on the 10-yard line. This is it. This is the tried and true moment for the Falcons. This is the big test because I've been mentioning all night the past few games how we haven't been productive inside the 10-yard line, and you can't just say anything but tonight we have to be. There's no other choice for the Falcons.
They'll bring up a second down, about 6 or 7 to go. Ball on the 11-yard line. Wesson and Marakovich the backs. The give to Wesson around this right side once again. He's got a lot of running room. He's short of the 5-yard line, but I think he may be close to that first down. I'm not sure if they had to get all the way to the 5 to get the first down.
They're going to probably measure, but let's look at the player so far tonight. I've been talking about character and how character is really going to matter in a big game like this. Well, the Falcons have the character. All the spirit I've seen from Fletcher's running, Marakovich's, Wesson's, and the offensive line's powerful bursts off the line of scrimmage have shown that they have the spirit to win, and they're not going to be stopped.
No, this is a key play here. 3rd and short. Give is to Wesson. He breaks free across the right side for the touchdown. Fitch Falcons now 6 points. Chuck Wesson once again around that right side, and again the Falcon offensive line just blew the reserve Raiders off the ball, and he had a clear hold of the end zone.
Hopefully, you know, the Falcons can maintain this into the second half. That's what they needed, but, you know, you only could wish that we could rewind this all and go back to that drive where the interception was, because that's exactly what we were setting up for. A nice burst by one of the Falcons into the end zone. Unfortunately, the interception, you know, led to the reserve touchdown, but we have a chance here to go in with only a 7-point deficit, so that is not a problem for the Falcons.
No, this has certainly got to be an uplifting moment going into the second half, to be able to drive the ball down the field 80 yards in 14 plays and score a touchdown with only 57 seconds left. Wilkins' kick is up, and it is no good.
Oh my, you know, I was just going to say, Jeff Wilkins is 13 of 13, a consecutive streak of 13 PATs this year, and that could not hurt more for the Falcons. He was going for the record of 16 consecutive PATs, and that's a tough break.
That is. And that of course, I don't want to speculate on the reasons for that, but that, again, could go down to these field positions.
Exactly. The field conditions are terrible. Jeff Scott is an excellent holder. He can get the ball down for Wilkins. He's proven that in the past. But sometimes you got a wet ball, you got a muddy ground,
That's
and
right.
It's tough. And also the coldness out there.
Yeah.
You know, a kicker's foot has to be warmed up, and the ball, it can become awfully hard when it's cold. So that may have been a problem for Jeff Wilkins.
One of the keys for these kickers, in talking to a former Falcon kicking star, Chris Burneye, is to get that plant foot down. And in wet conditions like that, of course, they got the cleats on and everything else, but in the mud and the wet, it's hard to get a strong plant down, and there's a tendency to slip, and of course, that could have been the cause for that.
And exactly, the kicker may be tentative when there's bad field conditions. Right. Yeah, we're having a real good time.
All right.
But he's tentative because of the field conditions, and he may hold back just a little.
Now the key is for the Falcon defense to go out there, stop the Raiders, and don't let them mount any sort of drive, because we've seen with Jermaine Richardson that he can move the ball quickly. 57 seconds is a short time, but with the speed of the Raiders, the ball taken and fumbled down near the 5-yard line. Number 28 has some running room. Finally brought down at the 14 by number 24 for the Falcons.
That was number 29, Chuck Campbell. Also, number 9, Derek Fletcher's in there. You know, Derek plays both ways, and he's also on special teams. You can't say more than that. He's got to be tired out there. He's done a lot of running. Now, back to that last drive by the Falcons. Exactly what we want when we come back for the second half. You're talking 14 plays, 80 yards, and about 7 minutes on the game clock. College coaches couldn't hope for more, or professional coaches. That is a picture-perfect drive.
There are college teams that can't put together 14-play drives. Double backfield, and